Ruth Anderson here with Enlightened World Network. I am so pleased to be bringing you this first installment of Sisters Supporting Sisters. Now, what is this? Archangel Michael had shared with us that there are some folks among us that are kind of struggling with some things, light workers that are struggling with, gosh, do I keep putting myself out there as a light worker right now? This is difficult times. And we just want to be there to support each other as we're going through this. This is a fascinating time to be alive. I would rather be reading about it than living it. And other times I think, I am so glad I'm here to see this. I have very mixed feelings about it. So I have asked this fabulous group of women to join us. And Terry Wildeman has been with us on Enlightened World Network for some meditations. Terry Angel and Deb Goldberg, partners in crime here. Burks, who has been a fabulous friend and colleague over the last several years. Niobe Weaver, sound healer extraordinaire, and Michelle Landers. Michelle has done meditations, beautiful meditations with us on Enlightened World Network as well. So I am so pleased to have you all here with us. So thank you for being here. And first, I just want to do a little check-in with you all. And I know we're expecting Marbeth Dunn as well. So when she gets here, we'll just open up the room to her as well. But just to check in, how are you folks doing today at 2:07 Mountain Time? Because I know that we vacillate, right? We have a foot in what's happening around us and get a little nervous and a little panicky and sad. And other times we're kind of floating above it as a light worker. So how are you doing right now? And Terry Wildeman, let's start with you.
That is such an interesting question. I was hoping you were going to ask me first. I am vacillating, and I'm vacillating because it's a combination of excitement. I'm actually excited because I see so much transformation that is happening, and I'm very curious to see if it's going to stick. However, I'm also sad because we've lost friends. We can't support family members. That's the part that triggers me with this whole thing, the isolation and inability to be able to be there in person with those people that you really want to be with, to support them, especially during times when they're really, really struggling. So it's a real, I'm more up on the seesaw, but it does go up and down.
Yeah, sometimes it gets you by the jugular.
Yeah, that happened twice today. We found out that one person ended up in the hospital because of a serious accident. Another one lost a parent, and on, this kind of stuff. And yeah, it just sort of like, and I can't be there.
Right.
It's hard.
Right. Terry Angel, what about you? How are you doing today?
Today, I'm doing great. I try to make that my intention every day to do great. But I'm kind of like Terry, when you hear about a loss, when you hear about a friend that's really heartbroken because they've lost a family member or a friend, and there's that not being able to give them the hug, not being able to comfort others who are really in pain at this time. And I thank God that I have friends, I have community for support at this time. We support each other, we lift each other up. And that's how we get through the traumas, the fires of life that come our way, is by feeling a part of community. So yeah, it's kind of an up and down journey throughout this whole experience. And today I'm staying on top of the water. I'm not sinking. So thank you for asking.
And Terry, I've worked with you and Deb so much recently. I mean, I've watched it as it rolls out day by day. And 2 days ago, you hit the water and just got dragged through because folks were not able to process some of the grief themselves. And in some ways, we're like, Terry, you take it. And she took it. And not only was she
Oh.
carrying it, but she was feeling it.
Mm.
There was like a whole day of that for you.
At least today. Yeah. Yeah. It was heavy. And, you know, I work with the angels very closely, and they sometimes in my downtime really bring downloads and bring insight more than anything. They give me a lot of insight into the energy that's happening. And all of that came flooding in. It was like a big gate opened, you know, the dam opened, and here comes all of the tears. And that was what I was getting, was all the tears that people were crying, and all that anguish and the sadness, a lot of sadness that I was feeling into. So yeah, a few days ago, if you asked me that question, Ruth, it would have been a totally different answer. But you know, the release process, the one that I taught over the weekend, that helps a lot to just really feel into, what am I feeling right now? What is that overwhelming emotion? And then being able to let it go. And it's okay to feel. That's the beauty of being a human. We can feel, we can experience. So feel it, acknowledge it, feel it, love it, and then say goodbye to it. So it's a constant process. It's we're not going to be the same tomorrow probably that we're doing today. So
Well,
it's
you
every
might
day
not,
checking in. Yeah.
you may not be the same in 10 minutes as
Well,
you.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah. But checking in, what I call the body scan, scan from head to toe. Okay, where am I feeling this? You know, it's a little heavy right here, right now. Let me go in and see what's going on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Yeah. Deb Goldberg.
Well, today I'm doing pretty well. I think we've watched ourselves over the last few weeks of, I think I had one of those moments during our silent meditation where the energy was so overwhelming of sadness and grief. And so I was a mess crying and releasing all of it. And then you went through that, Ruth. And so I guess, Terry, you got it this week. So we've been watching this happen. And what's fascinating is I'm watching all of this stuff come up inside of me that needs to be cleared. And so it's been interesting watching how I experience, like almost like witnessing myself of how I experience all these different things that keep coming up that are, you know, not things that I shouldn't be believing in, that normally would really set me off into some kind of emotional, you know, feeling uncomfortable. But yeah, I've been working a lot on just allowing my feelings to flow. And like you said, I can have great days, and then, you know, all of a sudden there's a day where there's more back and forth going on. I also work very closely with my guides, which is God and Jesus and the angels. And I just keep getting pulled back in. And all I keep hearing is surrender, 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 surrender to the love, surrender to what's going on, surrender that you're safe, surrender. And so the more I keep getting pulled in, it has helped me stay more present in what I know and not get pulled off by all the fear going on around me. But I also noticed that on other levels, I could be feeling secure and happy and faithful. And then there's this underlying feeling going on inside of me that's trying to tug on me of fear. And so there's always these levels of emotion going on inside. And so I've just been watching all of that and trying to feel into, okay, what's going on here? Why am I getting tugged over to this place? And and I think what came up for me most was feeling, and I watched a documentary on this with Anita Morajani, feeling suggestible, like susceptible to hearing things. And then all of a sudden, you take it on yourself, and that fear just keeps growing inside of you, sort of like how maybe people think of the virus or whatever's going on or what's going to happen after. And so I realized that I can be so suggestible that I can take on that fear. So I've been really careful in monitoring that myself and trying to stay in what I know and stay peaceful. And when that comes up, I just deal with it. I just process it.
Okay, truth time. Who here has gained weight?
Who's what? I'm sorry, who what?
Has
Never during this time.
Oh, gained weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And needs a haircut.
This,
And your roots done.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, the powder comes out.
yep.
Oh, this is funny, a little lighten up. I had gel nail polish on my nails, right? And my nail polish kept growing off my nails. And if I don't get it off and I can't go to the person who does it, I'm like, okay, my nails are just gonna break, right? And so I had my husband the other night. I cut up all this tinfoil. And I put cotton on my nails and I tried to wrap my nails so that I could sit and get the nail polish off without ruining my nails. It was hilarious, but it was fun. And it was really loving of him to want to sit and help me do that.
That's nice.
That's
That is
very
nice.
sweet. Yeah.
That is sweet. Linda Dirks, how are you doing?
Actually, I'm doing well. I live alone. I work out of my home anyway, so there's really no big shift in my lifestyle like there are in other people who have their spouses at home, their children at home. This is kind of, the norm for me, except, we're all being extremely cautious. I'm fortunate that I live in a very contained, small resort, and we are cocooning here as much as possible. And when we do have to go out, I look at the precautions that I take, not so much that they're protecting me, but they're protecting all the people I love around me, and not, bringing anything back here into our little resort. There's always the inconveniences. I texted Ruth last night when I had to wait in line to get into Trader Joe's, and we're all living through these things, but I think all of us here are seeing that reset button on humanity when we come into
Yes.
a slower pace and greater gratitude and a greater sense of oneness with one another. And as I checked in this morning, I was shown, all of us, we said yes, we show up and we shine. That's our job. And this is our time to come together as leaders and in collaboration. And this morning I was shown all of us linking our arms together like in a grid pattern and overlaying humanity and creating an energy field that was pulling all of humanity up. And our timing, I'll talk more about that later after introductions, but I think, because I am single and I don't have any children, although I'm really enjoying becoming closer with my family and touching base with old friends, just saying, how are you? I'm thinking of you. And night before last, we had an earthquake here. It was a mild earthquake, but within seconds, all of my neighbors were all out on their front patios, looking at each other, just checking in and making sure that we were all okay. And, not physically because it wasn't a serious earthquake, but we're all in this emotional state where we're being really aware of one another. There's a sense of awareness and connectedness that we didn't have before. And we're going to be seeing that spreading in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I love that your neighbors are all keeping an eye out for y'all. That's really sweet.
We're trading gloves and masks and passing off cans of tuna fish, but when we do go off campus, we are extremely careful. But as I say, I don't do it for me. I do it for all of us, because we're not, we are one family here.
That's sweet. Very sweet. Michelle Landers, how are you doing today?
Okay, well, right this minute, yeah, right this today was it was absolutely a roller coaster. It started off great and then took a nosedive. And I started working on a newsletter I want to get out tonight. And then I realized I just had to stop because I had so much emotion going on in me. And I didn't want, I know how we are transmitters of energy all the time at every minute. And it wasn't good energy. So I said, you know what, just stop, Michelle, and wait until you feel differently. And gosh, I think it's so important for us to acknowledge, and I know that, so many of us do, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and not to put so much pressure on ourselves that we always have to be up, that we always have to be in this high level energy of, oh, everything's good, everything's fine. I was thinking of a couple of things today that went through my head. And one was, there was a movie out years ago, I think it was in the 80s, maybe the 70s. And was it Network News or something, where he sticks his head out the window and says, I'm madder than hell and I'm not going to take this anymore, or something like that. And I think sometimes if you feel that, instead of trying to stuff it and say, oh, I shouldn't be feeling that way, that's not the route I want to take, feel it, but just feel it for, feel it for a little while, feel it as long as you can get it out, and then choose just a little bit of a higher vibration, just a little bit more to lift yourself up just a little bit. But if you're feeling it, then feel it. And for me, just pretty much all the time, I have this, whatever it is here, observer, angel, guide,
Things that keep
that says, how, wow, isn't that interesting how you're feeling, how you're reacting? Wow. And since I'm a coach, I go, do you want to talk about that? How do you feel about that? What's going on? And then I get to have a dialogue with myself, with my higher self, and say, yeah, I'm not quite sure. And then the observer says, yeah, it's in there. Just talk about it. What is it? What's going on? And I was also thinking about the fact that there's, we've heard about the 4 steps or the process of grief. There's actually 7 steps in the grief process. And I think that we're all experiencing a certain degree of grief. And so it's shock and denial, it's pain and guilt, it's anger and bargaining, it's depression. It's then, adjusting to the situation, then working through it, and acceptance and hope. And I really want to work on all those steps so we can process it and get through this as best we can. Because, in life, no one ever promised us a rose garden. We go along and we think that when things are going well, this is so great and it's wonderful, and it is wonderful. And the one unchangeable thing about life is what? That it's always changeable.
Changeable.
That's the one unchangeable. And so I'm constantly reminding myself of the things that are really important to me. I think for all of us, probably we've, at least, let me speak for myself, I've come to a new awareness about certain things, what's valuable, what's valueless in life. I do think this is, like all of you, this is an awakening, a period for us to really join together and it creates something new and beautiful. And so it's 1 minute at a time for me. It's just 1 minute at a time. And if I can be there for someone else, that's fabulous, because I know so many people are there for me. So
Thank you. Michelle,
Thank
you said something that made me kind of smile at myself. Before I really got moving here, I was at Target doing okay, what do I need here? And this was like 3 weeks ago. And I thought, Easter, we do Easter at our house. So, okay. And I've got two girls. So, okay, the jelly beans and the eggs and the dye and all of that stuff. And then I allowed myself to really go into it. And I went into oh my gosh, what if this is our last Easter together? And I just felt it in all of its gory in Target in the Easter candy aisle. and so, and so I have a lot of Easter candy here right now, folks. Just thinking, what if it's our last? So yeah, so I've allowed myself to go that low.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated watching myself do it. So,
Wow.
same metacognition that you're talking about, Michelle, where you go, look at me doing this right now. Ha!
Right. Wow.
Didn't expect to see that. Yeah,
Right.
it's fascinating. Niobe, what about you? What's it been like for you?
It's like all of you here, it's been a wave. It is just riding this wave. And Linda, you were talking about gratitude. Last week I had a day that I was just high. I was high on gratitude. I had woke up and looking at everything that's going on, of how grateful I was that I was alive that day. That I was breathing, everything that I had, that my family and friends, that we were alive that day. And I had this really wonderful day. And then just this past week, Thursday, something came in and hit me. And I had to go into a place of really honoring what I was feeling, because I had been trying to it's okay, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, because my son is a nurse at Harborview Hospital in Seattle, and he is working on the acute care for COVID-19 acute care. And they thought he and his wife had been tested, and he went home and they did not have it. I didn't get to update you on that. No, they had some kind of a low grade bug, but he's back. He's back at work. And so as I'm reading and I'm witnessing the lack of personal protection equipment, and I'm reading this and I'm watching this and I'm in communication with him, and then there was CNN did in the ICU at Harborview, and that just bursted open for me. I went into that place of, what if I lose my son? What if I lose my my family, my kids and their wives and friends? And I just went into this place on Thursday of, it was terrifying, because it was a thing of, if I lose him, it's, how do I live? How do I live? How would I live without, with this loss? And so I was telling God, that's just not, no, that's just unacceptable. But it was a thing of realizing that I'd been keeping that stiff upper lip. I'd been staying strong, and I had not been just acknowledging my feelings as his mother, and also just for other people that have somebody that is on the front lines as a nurse or a doctor. And so as I was acknowledging those feelings, because I found myself just exhausted. I was just really, really tired, is the way it started to manifest in my body. And so as I went in to acknowledge those feelings, things started to shift. I slept all day on Saturday. But as I got there, it was like, I could feel, we're all being able to feel that everything is out of our control. Everything that we've known, that we get up in the morning, this is what we do, we go to work online, this is what we do, we can go to the grocery store. Everything's out of our control. We are being brought home really to what matters. And it's like, if everything's out of control, then what do I have control over?
Right.
Control of how I react. How will I react to this? In every moment of anything that comes up, it is how I react to this. And as all of you said, to acknowledge and feel what we're feeling in the moment. And then there's a thing of we step into and we carry on. And I thought, okay, I'm doing better. And I woke up this morning and I'm like, I'm sad. And then that was a deeper check-in of, is this mine or is this someone else's? And then it was a realization of, this was not my sadness. Terry, like you were talking about, that incredible, God bless you, darling, for that wave of feeling the sadness that is wrapping around our world. And it was asking and coming into that awareness. It's like, as light workers, we are really being asked to come into deepening into that integrity of our energy, of our field, of our gifts, of how we transmute, how we take in, we transmute and move it on. What kind of prayer energy work, we're light working, are we putting out there? And then that's right, Serena. And then filling ourselves up, taking care of ourselves, and being, coming down into that humanness and just feeling it, and then being able to pick it up and say, okay, we move forward. That's what I've been doing, and it's a wave.
Great.
So,
So I'd like to welcome Marbeth. Marbeth, we're so glad that you could join us.
I'm so sorry I'm late. Everything was converging simultaneously here.
That's great. So we're just going to ask you to come right on in. We were just doing a check-in with how we're doing right now today with everything that's going on around us. Have you had any difficult times or just smooth sailing the whole way? What's this experience been like for you?
It's been interesting. It's been interesting. And some days it just seems that I'm just coasting, and others, lots to do. So basically I'm feeling good. It's interesting because I've used some older techniques and methodologies that I haven't used in many years. They're showing up now. I've got so many different techniques and modalities, and I find myself going back to Reiki or violet flame, or, just older things that I haven't done in years, and it's just so interesting to see what's showing up and what I'm called to do. And then other times just be quiet. Yeah.
I have found that staying present is crucial.
Yeah.
I can't go to the future. If I go to the past, I resist my present. And then that's hard for me emotionally and physically to be in resistance. If I go to my future, I can either get really excited about it or fearful about it, which isn't helping me either. So really just being in the present is what's helping me. So we've got someone who's been listening in, Dina Parton, who's really struggling with the depression and the isolation. So I would ask you all, what advice, what loving encouragement could you give to Dina on how to combat that isolation and depression? Number one, Dina, you're here with us. So thank you for reaching out and allowing us in, because that's a big piece of it. It's looking for other people to bring in. And for most of us, that's online right now.
Yes.
What advice do you all have for Dina?
I
Linda.
have something.
Okay, let's listen to Linda first and then Niobe.
Okay.
I just wanted to say to Dina that I went through much of my adult life struggling with depression, and have designed a program called Quiet Mind Mental Wellness, and you can find it free of charge. It's on Facebook under Linda Dirk's Quiet Mind. But the three basic tenets that I live by are calming my mind, managing my thoughts, and living from love and make joy my compass. If you can do whatever you can to embody these, and whatever other people here today may have, we all have different ways that we can calm our mind. We all have control over what Niobe said earlier, our reactions and how we manage our thoughts. And if you come from love, you raise your frequency and you can mitigate the trauma and the reactions that you're having and be in more of a sustained state of peace and joy. Anybody else want, Niobe, you want to weigh in?
Yes. Thank you, Linda. Absolutely. I love what you're saying. Because I dealt with depression myself over through my lifetime. And the one thing I found that helped me was I consciously looked for beauty. And it's like, okay, well, I'm Niobe, I'm not going outside. I'm isolating, because quarantining. And one way possibly is to, when you get up in the morning, to look out the window, open up the curtains and look out the window, look at the clouds. Is there clouds? Is there sunshine? What is happening with the light? What is happening with the landscape around you? Is it a cityscape? Is there something there that catches your eye that says, oh, look at the light in that, look at the color of that? Physically looking out your window. And then also, is there something in your home? Is there pictures? Is there something that makes you smile? And then online, to go online and look at pictures of Tahiti. Go look at something. Do you love baby elephants? My daughter-in-law loves baby elephants. It's to consciously look for beauty. That is what helped me. It was the golden sparkle in the sunlight in my youngest child's hair that snapped me out of being in a very deep depression. And in that moment, it was, I have to find beauty somewhere every day. And so that's just my thoughts for you, dear one. And my heart is with you very much of that feeling of depression and isolation. But you're here. We're so grateful that you're here. And please continue to tune in and anything that Enlightened World does, because you're not alone. We are here for you.
I have something I'd like to add to that. When you look for beauty, whatever step you take, you are stepping into your power. You are taking your own initiative. And when you do, you stimulate that life force, that torus of energy that continuously is cycling through your body. So that sense of empowerment, of taking positive steps, I think the purpose and the power made a huge difference for me. And you too, Niobe?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Empowerment that you're not a victim, and you're not a victim of the circumstances or of your thoughts or of maybe a brain that's running amok. You have the ability to step into your own power, and that sense of empowerment is what really made it explode for me.
Absolutely, because it was in that moment I took my power back. By just that sparkle of sunlight, you take your power back. So when you open those curtains up, what is there? And also, on a clear night, we've got full moon. We have a beautiful full moon happening. So just step out on the porch and howl at the moon too.
I have something I'd like to share. Pretty often what I'll ask a client when they're going through this down period is say, first of all, our thoughts fuel how we feel. And I will ask them, so who would you be without that thought? Who would you be if you didn't have those thoughts of whatever it is, depression or feeling bad? You know, play with that a little bit. Who would you be? And I also will suggest that they recall a really happy memory. Think of something in your life that you really loved and you really enjoyed. And, you know, get into that, visualize a different future. Just play with that a little bit. What would it be like in the future if this, and this happened? What would you like to see happen? How would you envision your life? And also there's a couple of other little things. And one is watching something funny. You can't imagine what watching humor or watching something funny on TV or on your computer, whatever, can just lift that vibration and take your focus off of feeling down or feeling depressed. Most important, of course, is reaching out, as you've all mentioned. That's really important to have somebody to reach out to. And the other thing is, and now this is going to sound really wild, but it does work. There's a little, I don't know if a lot of you remember the Simon game, the little Simon game that you have to, it has like 4 quadrants and they're all different colors and you press it and the colors and the sound, they go off and then you have to follow it, right? So if it's green, blue, green, then you have to go green, blue, green, and then it gets faster and faster. And you have to follow it in order to keep up. That's the game. It's a little handheld game. I have used that with clients. It really shifts because your brain can't focus on that many things at one time. And it breaks those neural pathways that are firing off, that are leading to depression. So if you just do that handheld game for a little while, it takes the focus off of it. So your brain has to, it has to go into a different direction in order to play the game. So those are just a couple of things.
If you don't have a game handy, I also used to use rapid blinking and it would shut off those pathways and start a new channel. It's a way to cut off.
Yeah. Terry Wildman, I think you've got some ideas. What are you thinking?
Well, first of all, Dina, I want to but acknowledge your courage in being here and reaching out. It takes courage to be able to share how you feel, and especially in a public forum. So congratulations on that, because that is the first step. I'd like to start with the very simple things. And what I would encourage you to do, if it feels right for you, is when you wake up in the morning, step into a place of appreciation by acknowledging your pillow, the pillowcase, your sheets, your bedspread, your bed. Acknowledge the people who made those things. And when you're ready, get up and acknowledge that you have a roof over your head. When you go into the bathroom and you turn on the water, that you have water coming out of the faucet and that you have soap to work with. And when you're done washing your hands, being grateful for the towel that you have there to be able to dry your hands, and the warm slippers that you're putting on, and the warm bathrobe that you're putting on. And every moment, appreciate what is being presented to you, because what will happen there is the more you step into this energy of appreciation, your cortisol levels begin to drop. And that's, Ruth had asked, has anybody gained weight? Oh yeah, the stress base. Your cortisol levels begin to drop, and your the DHA levels begin to rise. So when you step into this place of appreciating everything, your food, your plate, your utensils, your glass that you have. I appreciate my favorite mugs every morning. I sit there and choose, okay, which one of these 3 am I going to use today? So everything I touch, down to the can of Lysol. I am appreciating all of it and appreciating being here, in our Brady Bunch grid that we have, you know. These are the things that I find really can make a difference. It's the simple things that can make the biggest impact when we turn it into a habit.
That's beautiful, Terry. Thank you. And one of the things that I keep seeing over and over, the best way for me to get out of that funk thing is when I put myself in service for somebody else.
Right.
And it's things like even having this forum to be able to just come together, or it's calling somebody on the phone, or last time I was at the store, I bought a bunch of cards to sign and send out to my friends that are struggling right now. So just reaching out to somebody else, putting somebody else's needs as more important than your own will shift that as well.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, Marbeth.
Oh, your mic is turned
You're
off.
muted, Marbeth.
Okay,
There we go.
I should be unmuted now. I have two things. One, I have two words, what if? So when you start to ask an open-ended question, you are opening up a whole field of possibilities that wasn't there before. So if you start with, what if I could see this a different way? What if I could have positive feelings today? What if I could see the world through a whole different lens and I could recognize that things were very positive? And then you don't have to answer these what if questions, but you're posing them and it breaks through the resistance. So you start to move into a different field. The second thing I would like to suggest is if you have the ability to go outside and hug a tree or just get completely enmeshed in nature, looking at flowers or plants and just absorbing that energy, because you'll start to feel grounded and you'll start to feel different. And different is very often better.
Yeah, thank you. Those are all great ideas. So question, and we've only got 10 minutes left, so we'll use this well. Has this experience strengthened your relationship with your spiritual divinity and your seeing yourself as a spiritual being, or has it weakened that? What has been that like for you as a spiritual being? So, Niobe.
It's strengthening it. It's definitely strengthening it, because it's I'm seeing what I can do as a light worker, but also just spiritually being here, witnessing this, being a part of this earthly experience that the whole earth, the planet, everything is going through. And feeling really, what is it? The word that comes is feeling really strong and proud to be alive in this time, that I'm here, I'm witnessing this and doing what I can to be a part of it. So, because that's what the call has been to me is, okay, this is what's going on. It's not just down there in that neighborhood or over there or in another country. It's all over. It's everywhere. And it's something that, you can't do anything about except make your own mask. Because we do that with bandanas and ponytails and ponytail things, because we have to wear a mask now anytime that we are out and about here in Southern California. So yeah, it's asked me to just come more fully into myself and be stronger, Ruth. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Terry, what about you? What has this done with your spiritual walk?
Which one?
Oh, Terry Angel, I'm sorry. I was looking right at you. How'd you miss that?
I know, right? Oh my God, this has catapulted me upward. And this is a time when we're all asked to sit in our chairs. You know, it's like you sit there until you can really quiet yourself. And when you do that, you're going to hear that voice from God. You're going to hear your angels. You're going to see your purpose more. And that's what's happened with me. It's like really just blasted things open. And I'm loving it myself. You know, I'm excited about what's coming out of this. All of the ways that we're all going to see things differently when we come through this experience. And we have this opportunity. And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm hoping other people can see it also as an opportunity to create what we want now, to create the world we want to see. We've been asking for change. We ask and ask. Okay, this is our chance. Create, how do I want to be coming out of this experience? And what do I want to bring forward to the world? So for me, Ruth, I'm excited. I'm excited about this growth spurt that I've had during this time of going into deep meditation, of reaching out to other people, building communities as much as possible. And you know, the inspiration keeps coming. It's like every day there's new inspiration. And I'm just open to it. I'm open to allow whatever and wherever this takes me, and absolutely loving it. And if I can digress for 1 minute, I want to go back to that prior question about the depression. Just, I want to say to all of us, be gentle with yourself. You're feeling emotions, and some of those will take you to that place of maybe some fear, maybe some sadness. Be gentle with yourself. And then the other part of that, if you're familiar with the emotional guidance scale, you can't go from panic and fear and sadness all the way up to exhilaration at one time. So the part of being gentle is, okay, maybe I can raise up a little bit. Maybe I just can get out of the sadness for the moment. And like some of you gave beautiful ways to focus on something different and focus on the breath. The breath will really take you inside. So that's it. I know we're running short on time. I want to give other people time to respond, but thank you for listening.
Great. And Terry Wildman, what about you? Strengthened you or made you?
It excites me, Greta. I've been waiting for I knew that this was coming. I felt that this has been coming. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew something big was going to be happening. And frankly, I'm very excited about this transformation that we are all experiencing, because it's giving us ways of awakening possibilities in different areas of our lives, whether it's our business life, our career, our personal life, our relationships with others and with ourselves. It's really helping us to tune in and zone in to what is really important for each and every one of us. And from that place, being able to, what you were saying, to serve and serve others, because we've got to take care of ourselves first before we serve. End of story. We have to take care of ourselves first. And when we're in that place where we're so grounded and coherent and that we really know ourselves, we can then step out and help all those other people who end up crossing our path in the way that they need, because it's not really about us anymore. We can serve them the way they have to, because we've transformed ourselves. It's not about the me stuff. You know, it's all about learning who we are in mind, body, and spirit, so that we can do what we're meant to do here. And I'm just so excited. Can you tell? I'm excited about it. I really, really am excited about it.
High five.
Deb Goldberg, what about you?
This has been a much more grounding experience for me and strengthening my relationship with God and myself. And it's interesting because we've all been asking for ascension, and well, we got it, and here it is. We're already there. It's already happened. We're in the midst of it, and so for me, I realized within myself that my relationship with God has always been like a father. And because that's the way God presents himself to me. And through this transformation, and this relates to also, we're coming up on Easter, is that what we're doing is transcending, so that the relationship is really oneness from this mother or father type of connection relationship, is that it is into oneness now. That's where we're going. So I feel this very deeply inside of me. And I said to God today, I don't like giving up the image of seeing you or Jesus or the angels. I like having those images. And our brain wants to keep making it a separate image outside of ourselves that you see or you're hearing or whatever. And he said, you don't have to. He said, while you're transcending, and it's on divine time, not forced in our time, that I can hold on to my father image while I'm going into oneness. And then when I'm ready to release that, then it'll just go. And so I was reading something about that being the same thing Jesus went through in his transcendence. He went from having a relationship with his father, as he called it, and then went into oneness. And we're doing that here now. We don't have to die to make that happen. And so I have been asking for this of, how do I know I'm one? How do I attain that? How do I feel that all the time? And I think that's also a lot to ask from a human. It's too much that we're ever going to feel that 24/7. But for me, it is overwhelming and strengthening and grounding me in my faith and knowing who I am.
Beautiful. Linda Dirks.
We're living through a time of change, and the more that we are open to that, we see our routines shift, we see our attitudes shift. I'm seeing a completely different relevance to time, completely different relevance to money, everything. And I'm just trying to be careful not to backslide into my old paradigm, because this is a time for us to just expand our consciousness as these old paradigms are falling apart and all of these relevances are changing. And I'm just looking at it from a point of just staying as open as possible and being as big a funnel as possible so I can get the maximum out of this that I can.
Beautiful. Thank you. Michelle, what has this done with your spiritual journey?
It's definitely strengthened it. And this is how, even though I've gone through and go through ups and downs, what I've realized overall is, wow, all of these years, whatever is 25, 30 some years that I have devoted to spiritual growth and evolving, that it's really paid off, because now, even though I might, hit the skids or whatever it is, or I take a nosedive into something, I know I have the tools in order to pull myself up. And not only do I have the tools to help myself, but I also have the tools to hopefully, help other people as well. And I don't have to fall apart, or I don't have to be in this state of constant fear. I can say, wow, look at this. Look at what's happening now. So it's definitely strengthened it. And it's like, what to me, whatever happens is meant to be. This is obviously right. It wouldn't be happening if it wasn't meant to be. And so I see the beauty of pulling a lot of people and families closer together. So for me, it's really strengthened my connection. I just feel that oneness And might seem strange. Well, maybe not at all strange, that because it's happening to all of us right now. What an incredible experience to live through, right? It's happening to everyone at the same time. And that is pretty miraculous. So yeah, it's definitely strengthened my connection for sure.
Fabulous. Marbeth, what about you? What has this done to your spiritual walk?
You know, it's been very interesting. I've just been in a complete place of surrender and non-judgment about it, and openness. So I feel like everything is not positive or negative, although I'm seeing a lot of positives. I'm seeing, you know, the dolphins swimming in the canals in Venice, and the skies cleared over Los Angeles, and the ozone levels are healing. I've seen the Israeli parliament has come together, which they couldn't do in 3 elections in 1 year. Now suddenly the opposition leaders are working together, and as same in the Netherlands as well, where the president appointed a minister of the opposite party for health, minister of health. So I'm seeing a lot of very positive things coming forward. I'm seeing people reaching out. And 20 years ago, this would not have been possible to have a Zoom, to have the online shopping support, to have all of these things. I mean, everything is just absolutely perfect, as it should be and is. And it feels like we're all in the perfect place. That it's just this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I was born to do. And, you know, I love it. And, you know, it's interesting because a couple of years ago, I was guided to do a daily meditation, you know, for 6 months, but I didn't get that. Now I've participated in Enlightened World Network, and I have a weekly meditation and panel. And it's like I keep asking, what am I supposed to be doing? And for the most part, it's just being. And that's what it is. And so it's been wonderful, really. It's a wonderful place to be.
I cannot tell you all how much I appreciate your being here. Here at Enlightened World, we've been asked to do several different things. It's just been fascinating to watch the requests come in from Archangel Michael. One of the things he asked us to do was to create a phone tree to be able to reach out to folks in Enlightened World by the phone. And some people are pretty sure we're going to lose the internet for a while. Other people don't have that thought at all. But we know that there are some folks that really need some hand-holding right now. And so one of the posts, and we'll put it up again, is a jot form asking folks if they want to share their phone number so we can reach out to them. So please be looking for that. One of the other things that we've been asked to do is to provide an upbeat gift of encouragement and love and joy on Easter Sunday. And we've been asked to gather videos, gather memes to be able to put out there and share on Easter. Well, then of course it has shifted a little bit of asking for folks to come into the Zoom room and share out a message of love and support on Easter. So all of you ladies here in the Zoom room, you are welcome to please join us on Easter to share. It's always fun to see what Archangel Michael has in store for us, but we would love your participation this Easter. So with that, I'm going to let everybody go, but so much love to everybody who's watching us on Facebook and YouTube right now. And so much love to each and every one of you that's here with us in the Zoom. You guys are the best.
Thank
Love
you.
you so much.
Namaste.
Thank you, Patty.
Bye.